Welcome everybody. My name is Josh Gabrielson, and I'm the Associate Director of Admission and Transfer Coordinator. And so I work within the admission office here at the University of Denver. And so really just wanted to thank you for joining us today, coming along. I think we have a great presenter and some great information so that you're going to hear about a specific department here and more information. So just to go over some logistics quick, there was no sound there at the beginning, so just kind of running through some video. But as you have questions through the day, there is a Q&A feature. And so you can click there to ask questions. We will use the chat feature but just for us to relay some links and information. So I'll be on the chat, being able to provide some throughout the presentation. And then if you have any questions, put in that Q&A feature, and then either the presenter or myself will respond to that through the chat or verbally to be able to do that. So, and then that is going to be it. So we have about 25 minutes here to present, and we will be starting in just a moment. We have a presenter for today. His name is Jim Bailey. He's a director of the Learning Effectiveness Program here at the University of Denver, and he has some great knowledge and experience, and he'll be joining us and taking over from here. So thank you, Jim, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. I appreciate the chance to meet with y'all. And let me share my screen with you here real quick. And there we go. All right. So as Josh said, I'm Jim Bailey. I'm the director of the Learning Effectiveness Program. Some fun facts about me. I'm a retired high school principal. I was in K-12 education for 37 years. I'm a Tai Chi instructor. I'm a fourth degree black belt. And my favorite people call me grandpa. And when I share that with folks, that usually means that means I get to call you grandpa? Yeah, go ahead. I absolutely love the work we do at the Learning Effectiveness Program to create equitable access to our students in higher education. Our students are incredibly resilient and just awesome people, and I love every minute that I get to work with them. So normally, if we were doing this in person, I'd ask you all these questions like, where are you from and what are you interested in studying and where are you in your college search? Josh tells me that most of y'all are already admitted to DU and will be joining us this coming fall, and some of you are currently at the University of Denver. So here's kind of what I want to make sure that we cover today is I want to talk about what the LEP is and what it does. I want to kind of think about what past academic supports you have received before you came to the University of Denver. And then we can talk about some next steps, especially about how you apply to the Learning Effectiveness Program. So one of the things, if you're together as a family right now, I encourage you to think about students, what are your strengths as a learner? What has been really, what are you really good at? Are you good at thinking for yourself? Are you good at initiating tasks? Are you good at math or English or, and how have you grown throughout high school? So those are things that you might want to talk about as a family after you've watched this presentation. So the Learning Effectiveness Program is a student-led academic resource for neurodiverse learners, including students with learning difference and students that are identified as neurodivergent. We've been on campus now at the University of Denver for 42 years, and we've been serving DU as one of the top programs in the United States for students with disabilities. We are a fee-for-service program, and we charge approximately $1,650 per quarter. So that's just under $5,000 per year for all 3 terms. And we are a separate application process than the University of Denver. Obviously, your admission to the Learning Effectiveness Program or your application to the Learning Effectiveness Program does not impact your admission into the University of Denver at all. That would be a separate process. In a similar way that if you have a disability, if you are neurodivergent, the University of Denver cannot discriminate based on that disability. So if you are identified as an LEP student, you cannot be, they can't look at your application to the LEP as a criteria for acceptance to DU. We do have scholarships available. Last year, we gave just under $100,000 in scholarships, and we're well on track to give that same amount this year. These are the services that the Learning Effectiveness Program offers. We offer academic counseling, executive functioning, coaching, tutoring, social skills building and events, and transition support. And I'll go through each one of those. So each one of your, each student is assigned an academic counselor. That academic counselor generally stays with the student the entire time they are in the LEP. So for example, if you come in as a freshman and leave as a senior, we try to keep you with the exact same academic counselor that entire time. You'll meet with that academic counselor one-on-one once a week for about an hour. And this is a coaching model. So the first quarter that we're with you, we're pretty prescriptive and trying to make sure that they're set and connected. And then after that, we look at your individual needs, and we change what we do, and we adjust what we do based on those needs. And these are some of the things that we'll work on with you in that one-on-one meeting. We'll work with time management, and we have a great 10-week calendar and a 1-week calendar and a 1-day calendar that you can use to kind of organize your day. We'll work on organization. So with time management, and when are your papers due, and let's look at your emails and make sure you're not missing anything. We'll do things like task lists and weekly schedules. We'll help you create goals, both long-term and short-term goals. We'll help you with note-taking and studying for your tests and breaking down large assignments into smaller chunks. We help with stress management. How do you maintain that good work-life college balance? You don't come to DU just to study the whole time. There's so much to do at the University of Denver and in the city of Denver and in the state of Colorado. So we need to maintain that balance. And then we also help with social engagement. So how do you engage with the Learning Effectiveness Program? How do you engage on campus? And sometimes you've got some engagement issues with roommates, and we can even help with those things. So again, if you're as a family, I want you to think about some of the strategies you currently use to stay on top of your academics. Things like planners, things like note-taking devices, things like working with a coach that helps you strategize. What are some of the strategies you're currently using? And those kind of come down to executive functioning. So all of our LEP coaches or all of our LEP counselors are trained in executive functioning coaching, but that's kind of at a 101 level. In addition to that, we also have an executive functioning specialist on staff with us. So while all LEP students receive executive functioning support from their academic counselor, this executive functioning coach can also meet with you one-on-one and support your individual EF skill development. About 20% of our students utilize this additional executive functioning coaching. You can set it up, it's a one-time only meeting, or you can set it up once a week for a little while, or you can do like a monthly check-in, whatever works best for you. The highest need that we see in executive functioning coaching is around task initiation and time management. That task initiation is, how do I get started? Or how do you overcome procrastination? How do you come over to that kind of action potential needed to get you moving in the right direction? We also have tutoring. I'd like to tell you that we have tutoring for every single course that's available at DU, but that is thousands of courses. We can't offer tutoring for all of those things. But we do offer one-on-one sessions, and they're available for most first and second year courses. All of our tutors are certified by the College Reading and Learning Association, or they are working towards their certification, which means all of our tutors are trained in working with neurodivergent and learning different students. And we also have tutors that are available for reading comprehension, writing, and math on a drop-in basis. So not only do you have those one-on-one sessions with a tutor, but in addition, we have drop-in sessions where if you just need help with a paper, maybe you need somebody to read over it with you, or maybe you need somebody to help you come up with ideas. We have drop-in sessions for those. I think it's 4 days a week. And then we have social skills building events. So not only do we have social skills groups that support people with making new friends or engaging in discussions, maybe participating in activities, but we also have events right on our floor. Like every Friday we have Let's Eat Pizza. So we have LEP and LEP, and we have that every Friday from 12 to 1, which gives you an opportunity to come up and just hang out with some of your friends, maybe meet some new people and sit around and eat pizza. We just had a Wellness Wednesday today. We had mindfulness going on up in the LEP, but we have yoga activities. We'll bring up therapy dogs a couple of times a month where you can come up and just sit around and chat and pet a dog if you want to. So they are the therapy dog we use, a Labradoodle named Rocky. He is the sweetest, cutest thing you've ever seen in your life, and he loves working with people. And we also have transition support. So we are really excited to support you, not only coming into the University of Denver, but the entire to and through process. So from the time you're starting to think about coming to the University of Denver, or starting to think about coming to the Learning Effectiveness program, until the time that you leave, or the time that you eventually get a career and leave the University of Denver, we are here to support you. So the first step is called Flight, which is the first LEP year total experience. And we start that out with webinars for incoming first year students in the month of May. And we have them all the way up until just before you come to the university for that Labor Day weekend. We have early move-in for LEP students, which means it's kind of like that first day of high school where you got to get into the school and you got to find all your classrooms and got to kind of find your way around. We do the same thing for LEP students where you get to get there early, get moved into your dorm before the 1,000+ students come in and try to get into their dorms at the same time. And that's during the pre-orientation weekend. And that weekend is generally over the Labor Day weekend. So you usually come in on Saturday or Sunday. And we have a program for you on Sunday and Monday. On Tuesday, then we turn it over to the DU Discoveries program, which is the campus-wide orientation program for you. We have weekend programming both for students and for parents, because parents, we know this is a transition for you as well. So we want to make sure that you get all your questions answered and that we have the opportunity to support you. Then we have amazing connections throughout the college. So we have connections with career development. We have connections with housing, and we'll talk about this more in a minute. But we have tips for you throughout your entire college experience. And in addition, we have opportunities for you to do things like resume checks and cover letter checks and pre-interview checks and those kind of things. In fact, next week we have a pre-meeting with Career Resources to help our students look through their resumes and their cover letters, and an opportunity to talk about some interview skills. So it truly is a to and through where we work with you both that first year and as you leave, and even as you're getting ready for study abroad. Again, one of those questions to think about as you're talking as a family is, how has your learning difference impacted your learning, and what supports have you used? You know, a lot of our students utilize extra time on exams. A lot of them use things like note takers. A lot of them use things like a distraction for the environment, alternative format text, etc. So what are some of the things that you're doing right now? And Josh, I just saw you pop in, so there must be a question.
Yeah, speaking of questions, a good segue here. I just had a few, and just would pop in with a couple questions here. So for the courses, I just had a couple questions about which courses that tutoring is offered for. Specifically, a student was asking about engineering and math, but are most courses included with the tutoring?
Yeah, the first year courses, almost all of them are definitely math. Depending on the engineering program, we have some engineering tutors. It depends on if you're ME or EE, but we do have some of the, especially the lower level engineering courses. By the time you get up to those upper level engineering courses, you want to be working with the grad assistant in the classroom and with your professor specifically, because those become pretty specific.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for that information. Then
Yeah.
just a couple other ones here too, Jim.
Yeah, of course.
The housing, you talked about the housing for a little bit. Are LEP students, are they mixed in with other students? Do they have a separate floor? Are they room together at all? Or just kind of mixed in with everybody else with the housing situation?
They're mixed in with everything else, and that's a great thing too, because a lot of parents and students ask about disclosure. Unlike in your high school experience where maybe people knew that you had a disability, or maybe people knew that you had a outside class support or whatever, there's no disclosure at the university level. Nobody knows that you have a disability. None of them know that you work with the LEP unless you disclose it yourself. Okay, so that all that stuff doesn't carry with you from your high school to the university. Your professors know that you have the accommodations, not that you have the disability, and that accommodation is basically a letter is sent to them telling them exactly what you want them to know. For example, I have extra time on a test. That's the only thing it'll say. So there is no disclosure.
With that, and then lastly, I know with an admission office here, we offer students merit awards for students that apply to DU. There's also scholarships that we offer that students can apply for. With your program, are there any specific scholarships that students would be eligible to apply for?
Yeah, all of our scholarships for the LEP fee are needs-based. So we have a separate application for that. So once you apply for the LEP, then you also apply for a scholarship if you have financial need. And we look at it in terms of unmet needs.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So we're going back to that whole area of your disability and the accommodations that you get. Now remember, as Josh just alluded, LEP is a fee-based program. That is not part of student disability services. So student disability services is the ADA mandated arm of the University of Denver, and they are the ones that afford your accommodations to you. So when you, and they are free, there is no cost associated with that. So when you are accepted at the University of Denver, you're going to connect with student disability services, and you will send them your neuropsych evaluations or whatever documentation you have. They will review it, and they will be the ones that award your accommodations. So again, those accommodations can be extra time on a test, they can be a note taker, or they can be alternative format text, those kind of things. So a lot of the accommodations that you had in high school are also available at DU. It's important to know, though, that not all accommodations are awarded. It's also important to know that assignments and tests are not modified. So, for example, if in high school, let's say on a writing assignment, everybody else wrote a 10-page paper, they said, no, you only have to write a 5-page paper. That's a modification, okay? That does not happen at the university level. Or like you're in a math test, and they say you only have to do half of half the questions as everybody else. That doesn't take place, okay? So it's really important to know that curricular modifications do not take place. The accommodations like extra time, distraction reduced setting, scribes, computer use, etc., those are all decided on by student disability services. So when you're looking at universities and you're looking at programs to support you, you want to look at there's kind of 3 different levels out there. There's There's low support, which maybe they have peer tutoring or tutoring centers. They have academic coaches, but you have to initiate all of those things. Okay, and then in a moderate, you're going to have professional tutors. You're going to have structured times with a counselor, but it's going to be based on what your needs. And then there are high levels of support too, and those are things with very specific, that where the university is usually based on individual student needs, especially around learning disabilities or neurodivergency. So they may have things like mandatory study halls or medication assistance, or they may have staff supervision. These are usually very structured, and they're much higher levels of support, especially around independent living. So you should probably look at these three things and say, what am I looking for at a university? And if you say, the first one, I can take care of myself, I can manage my time, I can keep track of myself, I can make sure that I'm out of bed, make sure I get to class. I don't need help in homework support. I don't need, task initiation. I'm self-motivated. I don't need any of that. That's that first level. Okay. And then the middle level is most of the time I'm pretty good, but sometimes I just need some support. And then the other one is I need my parents to help me right now. They need to make sure I eat, sleep, do my laundry, make sure that I study. I need support with independent living skills. I need help with my medication, etc. So that's the highest level. So if you look at those, we are a moderate level of support. So that first level is probably most state schools. So if you're looking at a state school at the state you're currently in, most of them are going to be the lower level. If you're looking at the higher end, you're looking more at schools like Lynn University in Florida, or maybe Landmark University up in Vermont. Those are a very high-end structured environment. DU is right there in the middle, where you can choose to attend and participate and take advantage of the opportunities. And the only exception to that is I expect all students to participate in those one-on-one counseling sessions, because I think that's kind of the bread and butter of where we are in terms of keeping track of you and supporting you. But we also work with your academic counselor to kind of assess your own needs and eventually develop that advocacy skills in a process. So you have to ask yourself, what are you motivated to work on? One of the things that we'll do when you first apply to the LEP is we'll look at your independent living score, and we'll say, how good are you at making sure that you can get out of bed, set an alarm, get to class? Because those high levels of independent living we're not able to support those at Learning Effectiveness Program. You'll hear a lot from the University of Denver about the 4D constellation of mentors. And so you there in the middle with a light bulb in your head, that looks a little bit painful, but you've got this light bulb in your head. That is you in the LEP. You in the LEP, we're also going to connect you with Student Disability Services and with Office of Academic Advising and with Health and Counseling Centers and the registrar and housing and student outreach and support and faculty. So we support students in all of those things. And then next steps, well, if you've already applied to the University of Denver and you've already been accepted, congratulations. You're in an amazing spot. If you've already done those things and you haven't yet submitted your documentation to LEP, we encourage you to do so. You can get to our application on the LEP website. So if you just Google University of Denver Learning Effectiveness Program, it'll take you right there. There's a big button on the top that says apply now. Once you've been admitted to DU, then we evaluate your application. So we don't look at that because we don't want you to think that your acceptance to DU has anything to do with whether or not you're accepted in the LEP. And then you'll commit to DU earlier or later this spring. And at that point, congratulations, you're coming to DU. And if you need any information, we encourage you to contact us. Our contact information, you can just send us an email. Super simple email, just lep@du.edu. And there's our website right there, lep@du.edu. And you can call us at that number 303-871-2372. Or you can follow us on Instagram. We've got like 700 followers, which we're proud of. So with that, I'm going to stop my share. And Josh, what other questions do we have?
We got a lot of great questions. So
Great.
I'm gonna I'm gonna keep coming at you with them here. So
Yay.
there's a couple of questions about how many students are in the program. Do you have a cap on the program? If there is there a wait list? What does that look like?
So yeah, we have about 400 students in the program. If you get your application in before, say, June 1st, you won't be on a wait list. If you get it in after that, we do have wait lists on occasion. At one point, late fall this year, we had about 50 students on the wait list. We're down to about 11 right now. So if you get in early, no problem.
It's nice that most people are able to get in there. Speaking of with different students being able to get into the program, are there students that become part of your program like sophomore year, junior year, senior year as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to come in as a freshman. You can come in anytime you want to. And another important thing to know is once you get in, you don't have to stay in forever. Okay, if you get to a point where you feel like you're independent enough, you can get out of the program. So it's not a start right when you start or end right when right at the end.
Keep coming. So there's about 10 more, but we'll whittle them down. With students, the services you provide, is there other departments that maybe offer similar sort of services, maybe not as intense or as engaged with the one-on-one, but maybe some other support services that you recommend on campus?
Yeah, the Student Success Office also has some academic coaching that is free, and you can work through the Office of Academic Advising to get connected with them.
Excellent. And when they apply, and sorry if you missed this, I was on the questions here a little bit too. But when they apply, do they have to apply each year then, or they continue on? Do they have to confirm that they're going to continue with the program each year?
Yeah, so once you apply and are accepted, you never have to apply again. But we do have a recontract that you have to do every year. So, say at the end of your sophomore year, you decide you don't want to continue anymore, you say, I'm not going to recontract.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. As far as if, say, the students are not connecting as well with somebody that they're meeting with, one of the staff, are they able to request another staff member or kind of have some of those conversations along those lines?
Yeah, we obviously encourage students to have that conversation with their counselor. I know that can feel like an awkward conversation, but again, that self-advocacy piece. But then we have a counselor change form that people fill out. We kind of ask what's happening, why is that connection not there? We try to place you with somebody that's going to be more supportive of
you. Type in here real quick. Here is just the main website. If everybody actually wants to click on there, then you can have that access to the contact. I do want to be cognizant of time. There is another session starting right now, so I want to make sure we kind of wrap up here. I'll see if I can get maybe one in. Yeah, but if you click on that link, then you'll have access to that to be able to reach out to Jim and the department there to be able to ask them any other questions. Jim, do you have any other kind of closing marks here that you'd like to say?
Yeah, thank you so much for letting us join and present today. We're a very enthusiastic part of the University of Denver, and like I said, we support about 400 students a year. If you have questions, I see there's some questions on there that are still piling up. Please feel free to send an email to us at lep@du.edu, and we are more than happy to answer your questions with that.
Thank you very much again. I'm just going to drop one more thing in here for all of our future students, maybe the students that have not applied to DU. I know we have some sophomores and juniors in high school in here. If you are interested, you can connect with the admission office as well. You can click that link and then reach out to us. We'd be glad to talk to you as well. So thank you for so many people joining us today. Really appreciate that. Learn more about Jim and his program. And yeah, Jim, thank you so much for sharing all the information.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.